Hi everyone, welcome to another exciting edition of Words, Images, and Worlds. On this episode, I'm delighted to be talking with artist, performer Carl Toop. Carl, thank you for joining.
Thank you, Jason. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, my pleasure, my pleasure. Folks out there will know you particularly for your work in the Aliens film, which I see over your shoulder there as well. Yes, yeah, portraying xenomorph in that film, and so you are part of film history and horror history, and just delight to have you on.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm just, I'm just learning that I am part of film history now. It's 40 years ago now. So that does become a part of history now, doesn't it? So
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I'm curious about how you connected with performing and film and storytelling. How did you get interested in this avenue?
well, I'm trained as a dancer. That's my training in the trade. But I really got into that by going to the cinema with my mother one day and watching Hello Dolly. And for
Hmm.
some
Hmm.
something just clicked in me that I thought, well, this is a magic world here. You know, you've got costumes, you've got dance, you've got everything in it. And it's from there on that really sort of pushed me to trying to find my avenue into that sort of business, the theatre. Theatre was my main love, really, I suppose, from that. And
Hmm.
so I managed to get myself into a dance college in London and or south of London, and I did 3 years training there. Worked my way through, and I'm very lucky to get jobs as soon as I left. And I was mainly working in theatre, which was my real passion because it's just that adrenaline rush you get when you're performing in front of a
Hmm.
live
Hmm.
audience. And then through one of those plays I was doing, I got asked to audition for Aliens. So that all followed on from there. Really, I think it was my dancing that got me the role. Really, the being agile, young, and skinny in those days. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Uh, for you in your preparation and your work, any differences between the theater and performing on a film like that?
Well, I suppose I'd always been used for quite a few years by communicating with my body rather
Hmm.
than verbally. So, you know, if we were doing like we have pantomimes, I would have to be a chicken or I'd have to be a donkey but you learn to adapt to try and find that movement that would get the public to believe you were a chicken or a donkey. Um, and also, though I did a play, I did My Fair Lady, and in that I was the prince. So I had to really use a different stance, a different project, because I didn't have any words in that. I was just dancing. I was doing the waltz with Eliza Doolittle, so I had to be create this presence of being a prince. So that's another way, but it was my whole body that was communicating that, and not using words, and it's really just my actions. So that was, I think, that is how I communicate really, because I'm not a big speaker anyway. I'm not. I'm fairly shy actually, so I do find it difficult to communicate verbally with a lot of people. But so yeah, I suppose I was a bit hiding behind my body and my movements and getting communicating that way. So that was there's a challenge still because you're having to really make the audience work as well with you to try and understand what you're communicating to them without actually saying what you're communicating. So it's another way of communicating. So that's what I enjoyed about it, and also when you are working in theatre, you've got that exchange of um, you feel the public there. You know they're there. They're
Hmm.
you learn very quickly whether it's going to be a good evening or you know if we're on the right track to keeping this audience happy. Sometimes we have to slightly change the direction to pick up the atmosphere of the play or the musical whatever we're doing. So we're working together all the time. When you're working theatre, you're working with the public, and the public are working with you because they want a good evening. You want to give them a good evening. So there's that connection there. Whereas in film, it's not quite the same. It's still a challenge because you're scrutinized by the camera a bit more closely.
Hmm.
Um, Theatre, you might make a mistake, but it's forgotten. It's gone. Whereas in film,
Hmm.
it's especially if it's live, it's your mistakes are there and in history.
Right,
Uh,
right. Yeah, as you're preparing um, to dance, to embody something in any particular parts of the creative process that you think through, I imagine that's a dance is such a labor intensive um,
but
art. I just went dancing last night with a friend, and I'm still feeling it today. So,
yeah, a lot of work that goes in beforehand because you are having to keep your body in some physical condition to be able to do some of the things we were asked to do. I can't do them now, I must admit, but in those days, it was, we'd get up at 6, 7 in the morning. We go to dance classes at Pineapple in London, and do our training there. Then we go on to rehearsals, and so we're always trying to develop, our bodies to push ourselves even further to be able to express more easily with our bodies. Whereas if you're a bit restricted in your body movements, then it's another challenge to try and communicate with your body. But once you've got that fluidity, the movements, you've got that freedom of movement of your body, it's a lot easier. And so there's a lot of training that goes on before and afterwards because you do have to eat well, you have to sleep well. You really have to try and get a whole lifestyle going to be able to dance. And it's like I think it's like any physical work. You've got to train yourself to be at the top, or as top as you can be. So yeah, it's a full once when you're in it and doing it, it's a full time profession. You have to think about it all the time, even when you're not doing it. You're relaxing. You're still thinking, or what am I going to do tomorrow? What can I eat now? What can't I eat? And it's that whole. But that's the fun of it as well because I loved it and I knew there was going to be some sort of result at the end of all my efforts. So it was worth it. It paid off. So,
yeah, yeah. Um, you were talking about the public there. What's it been like to, uh, or I guess a better way to say it is, what's been the impact of working with public and with fandom in your career?
well, because I stopped dancing probably about just over 20 years ago now. My life took a different turn. And so really, I'd forgotten about all the aliens and having done that. I'd never really mentioned it to anyone. It was a job I did. It paid my rent. I enjoyed doing it. It was a great experience. But then I moved on. I did other theatre pieces after that. And the film came out a year after we'd filmed it. So, when it did come out, I'd moved on to other things, went to see the film, great, loved it, but sort of moved on and really never spoke to anybody about it. And it was just by chance. It was fun. Two people in the same week got hold of me and asked me if I was Carl Toop, who played the alien warrior in Aliens. I went, yes, but they, how did they find this out? Because I hadn't published anything on social media or anything. And they got me into doing conventions, and it's only when I started conventions that I realized there is a fandom out there
Mhm.
for myself and for the character and me, which I found at the beginning I just couldn't believe that people would want to meet me or see me or anything. And the first one I did was actually in Germany, and there were queues of people to see me. Like, whoa, what's going on here? So I really had to learn about the whole aliens thing again. I had to go and watch the film again because the fans know so much about the film. They know more about it than I do, every single detail, um, which was great. Now, it's opened up another world to me. And it's just seeing the fans and the pleasure that film and other films, because I see the other actors from other films that have inspired people, or it's been a part of their lives, it's been part of their growing up. Like Alien seems to be I found it's a connection of generations. The fathers or the mothers are actually waiting for their children to be old enough to be able to show them aliens.
Mm-hmm.
You're grown up now, you can watch aliens, and they're coming to see me. I'm getting the grandparents, the parents, their children, and now the grandchildren are coming along. So I love it. It's really it's opened up another world, and it's just amazing that you can make people happy by talking about experiences that a long time ago, and I had a great time doing it. So yeah, it's great talking to them. It's being
Yeah.
part of the way because I've seen on social media people they send me in questions. They want to know every little detail, which I've got nothing to hide. So I just we just go with it, and it's great. And no, it really has opened up another world to me because I'm actually a chef now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A job, and then I do an escapism into my conventions, which they're happy places as well. These conventions, I don't know if you've been any to the horror conventions or the comic con,
Mm-hmm.
but they're happy places, and they're where people can go and actually express themselves. They can go as their favorite character, and there's no one criticizes, no one judges. It's just it's a happy place, and it's one of my happy places now as well. So life is good.
Yeah, yeah. They are lovely places to be. I've been to a few of them, Comic Cons. I would like to get to a horror convention at some point soon too. There's a lot about that genre that I appreciate.
It's they're very different, the atmosphere, but there's still that camaraderie between everyone. Everyone's united for one thing. It's that bringing people together, and they live there. They get away from what rubbish is going on outside in the outside world, and come into these conventions and just express freely without judgment. Great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now you're telling stories through your work in foods, and I'm sure that there's a creative expression to that as well. I was going to ask about storytelling and creativity and how that is impacting your current life.
Well, because I started, okay, well, we did restaurants for a while, and restaurants they're great, but a bit restricting to my how I wanted to work. So we started a food truck, and
Mm-hmm.
it, we're living in an area in France where they do a lot of foie gras. There's a lot of meat involved in the kitchen, which in cooking, which is fine. But I just saw the quantities that were being used. So I thought, well, Paul McCartney brought out a book with his daughters. It was Meat on Monday. Meat on Monday. I think of it. Yeah. Meat Free Monday Cookbook. It's called, and
Mm-hmm.
with that, I just thought, yeah, that's a great idea. If I can get people to eat a vegetarian dish 1 day a week, that
Mm-hmm.
might, I don't know, it doesn't make any difference. But to me, it was I wanted to sort of get people to sort of, just have a think about what they do eat, and if we can just maybe eat vegetables for 1 day, without or meals without meat for 1 day, I think that could make a difference to them as well. They might rethink how they're eating the rest of the time, and also if we can cut down the production of some of these quantities of meat we are producing and being wasted as well. So that was my way
Yeah.
of myself through the food truck, saying this is what I'd like people to do, and I talk to people about it, and I never force anyone to become vegetarian. That's not the goal of what I'm doing. It really is just to just say, well, I don't have to have meat every day. I can have maybe 1 day without meat, and then maybe make it 2 days a week. And firstly, it's good for your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's good for your health as well to change your diets, because we do tend to get in a rut and do the same meals all the time. So if you're having to slightly go off what you're used to, then might be a bit more creative in producing something that you don't habitually eat. So that's the idea I had. But if it worked, I don't know. But I'm enjoying doing it. So I'm
Oh,
getting good
okay.
as well, because I had one lady who she wasn't vegetarian, but her daughter had become vegan, and she wanted to have a vegan wedding.
Hmm. Hmm.
But most most of the people being invited were meat eaters. So the challenge was to produce food that substituted meat texture wise and taste wise, which is it's not easy. But we managed to do it. And we did it was a wedding for 80 people. There were probably about four vegetarians, vegans there out of the 80 people, and it was a great success. And it was a great. Apart from the wedding, it was a fabulous wedding. But also, we were able to discuss with the guests, what how we were able to create some of the dishes that we did, and I think there was a positive reaction that they want to go and try it themselves. So that's great. If I can inspire a few people with what we do, it's great. And so that's my way of communicating through my food. I don't have to generally talk about why I'm doing it. I just they come along. They're not vegetarians. They buy our food. They enjoy it. So if they're enjoying it, they're obviously having one meal that they're not having meat with. So which is that's a good sign for me. So yeah, that's been
Yeah,
good.
love
Yeah, it's
that. Yeah.
finding that with my conventions, I'm having a great time. It's a very lucky person.
Yeah, and very interesting as well. I like the creativity, and you've taken this wonderful path. Um, if I'm a listener and I want to find out more about you, including appearances, and if I want to find out about the foods that you're making, any particular spots that I might go?
Well, the food's a bit difficult because it's based in one village in France, or a village, a small town. So that's really a marketplace. But we have a it's called Le Carry Vegetarian, and that's on Instagram. And then I have my own personal, well, my alien associated addresses, which are Instagram is carltoop.alienwarrior1986, Facebook Alien Warrior / Carl Toop, and then you just connect with me on that. And if people have questions about anything, I don't have to talk about aliens all the time. Just send them in. That's the fun of it. It's interesting to know what people want to know about, me, what I'm doing, what I've done.
Mhm.
If they want any guidance in anything they're doing, my age, can maybe guide someone or give them advice. Sounds a bit big-headed, doesn't it? Really, but they might. I might be able to answer and help them. So yeah, no. So I'm open to any questions that people want to send me. So and they might be able to teach me something as well. So with their because I'm dealing with a lot of people in lots of different life. They do everyone's different careers and the way they're going. They're just starting out in life. They want to know what they can do in that. I get people come up to me at conventions, and I had one guy who came up with his father, and the chap he was what 16. He's just left school, and his father said, "Well, could you talk to my son because he wants to become a dancer?" And
Mhm.
said to the father, what do you want me to tell him, to do it or not to do it?" He said, just tell him your experience of how easy, how difficult it was to first of all get into college, then get jobs afterwards. Just tell him your experiences of how what you've done. And the father went away, left me with his son, and we had a really good discussion. He asked me some really sort of good questions about the career and how easy it is. And I said it's not easy. You're going to have to
Mhm.
work hard, and you've got to be able to do something a bit different from everyone else. You've got to make yourself stand out because he was very shy as well. So I think his father just wanted to let him express himself with me without him being there. And yeah, he really did express himself. There's problems with you know um, him becoming a dancer because people were taking the mickey out of him and that, the old, I had that as well, but I hope I told him, tell them to go, go away and, get on and do what you want to do. Just ignore what people think. And so that was something that I was quite rewarding to me because the father came up to me afterwards. He said, "Thank you so much for talking to him. He seems to have sort of really kicked him off on the direction. He knows what he wants to do now." So I didn't hear from him afterwards. I'm just hoping that he made some right decisions. But it's things like being able to do that for families and that was very rewarding. It was helping that father-son relationship because the father wasn't very happy about him doing it. So the father had other ideas for him, but the father was intelligent enough to open up the option of be talking to him and having the risk of him actually following the career move he wanted to do. So that was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, good for that father. And I have several students that also enjoy dance and explore dance. So I know that they will enjoy hearing that part of your story as well.
But we're still, people are still very judgmental about what career you can choose a career. And, I got called all the names under the sun when I was at school because I was at an all boys school. I was playing had to play rugby. So I was skiving off rugby to go to tap lessons. And, so I was playing that whole game. I used to get the Mickey taken out of me at school like nothing. And I sort of made me hate my school years, but it pushed me even harder to go and do what I wanted to do without just ignoring their comments. So, yeah, if you want to do something, just ignore what people, these nasty people around. Just go for it. And if you fail, you fail. I
Hmm. Hmm.
do a few good shows and a good film and that. So I was lucky, and it's not always like that. But if you don't try and you don't fail, you won't succeed either. So just go for it.
And you will always wonder, very
Yeah.
likely.
What do you teach?
I teach English and literacy courses.
Uh, yeah, that's it's interesting to see the young people now trying to have to make a decision on what they're going to do because it's so difficult to choose a career now that you can first find a job in uh,
Hmm. Yeah.
to the top of it or be successful and enjoy it. And also, I think traveling is a good way of experiencing and getting on in life as well. I did a lot of traveling when I was young, and I was lucky enough to be able to do that. And I learned a lot that gave me a lot of understanding of other people, how they live. Just because we live like we do doesn't mean that's the best way to live. So it was quite interesting seeing other cultures and everything. So that's another way of you know getting on as well. I think traveling and even in the States you can travel. Because I was lucky enough to do a month in the States last year, and your different cultures from just moving from West Coast to East Coast.
Hmm. True.
It's incredible the difference in cultures as you're going through. So you don't have to travel too far to understand other cultures that are around us. So try and travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Always something to learn and always some growing to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you never stop learning and never stop growing. And I just hope I haven't finished doing other things. There's so much out there to do. There's just not enough time. But make the most of it.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like you have. It sounds like you've explored opportunities and from dance to film to foods. I love the creative thread that runs through as well.
So that's yeah. So I had a base of that. So that's sort of what's guiding me, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Well, looking forward to hopefully meeting you at a convention at some point. That would be lovely. And thank you so much for joining for the chat.